Today we are going to be talking about 5 tips for leveraging your content because all this week in the Balanced Entrepreneur Facebook group, we've been talking about ways to work smarter, not harder. That way you can maximize your profits while minimizing your efforts. And we've talked about leverage, automation, delegation, and today I want to talk about leveraging your content in a smarter way. So work smarter content creation, if you want to call it that. And the tip that I gave today in the Balanced Entrepreneur Facebook group was use content as traffic to your automated funnel. So that was the tip I shared in the Balanced Entrepreneur Facebook group today. And that's what we're going to be diving deeper into right now. So hey guys, if you're just popping on, we're talking about the 5 tips for leveraging your content so that you can work smarter and get more out of the content that you're creating. I create tons and tons of content. I have tons of guest blogs that I write for. I have tons of my own blogs, web TV shows. I do daily Facebook Lives. I do 3 podcasts a week. I've got all of this content, and a lot of my clients joke, they say that I must have a twin or a triplet or something because it seems like I'm doing so much in so little time, and they really want to know how. And so what I want to talk about today is how you can work smarter with your content to get the absolute most out of it. Now, most people, when it comes to their content, they think that they just, got to put it out there and it's just going to make money, right? They're just going to start a blog and then they're going to make money blogging. But that's not the reality. Content has a purpose. In fact, it has 2 purposes. And when you treat it as such, you're going to get way more out of it. So what are the purposes of content? Number 1, it is to nurture. So if you have a community, if you have a list, if you have followers, prospects, you use content as a way to nurture your relationships with them so that they see you as an authority and they know, like, and trust you. So that's one of the purposes of content. So it's not even necessarily about making money right away off of the content, but it's about nurturing the relationship so you can make money later. The second purpose of content is traffic. So once you have funnels or you have offers or you have services that you want people to buy, you can use content to actually send traffic to those offers. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So those are the 2 main purposes of content. So let's talk about the 5 tips for leveraging your content so you can get the most out of this. So the first is you want to get good at one type of content at a time. Now remember I said that I do tons of content. I do videos, guest blogs, podcasts, all these other things. But I didn't start out doing all of them. I got good at one at a time. I got really good at blogging first, then I got really good at guest blogging, then I got really good at video, and then I got really good at podcasts. And I just added one on after I was really good at the one before. So you don't have to try and do all these different, forms of content all at once. Choose one that you will really, really enjoy, get good at that, and then you could stick with just that one for the long term. Or if you want to add on, you can add on after you're good at it. Like if you think of people like Marie Forleo, she really only does video. If you think of John Lee Dumas, he really only does podcasting. Digital marketer, they do a ton of blogs, right? So they're really known for that one type of content. All right, so choose one and really focus on that one. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to repurpose the crap out of your content. And this is the best way to leverage your content because it will appear as if you are on every little social media platform and you're doing so much when really you're just maximizing the content that you have. So I repurpose like crazy. Here's just a snapshot of the way that I repurpose. So I create every week there's a theme in my Facebook group. So this week's theme is working smarter, not harder. And then I take that theme and I break it down into 5 tips, and those become daily tips that I post in my Facebook group. Just a little image with the tip written on it and then some post text at the top of it. And every day I post one of those tips in my Facebook group related to that theme. Then in that tip, I promote a Facebook Live that I'm going to be doing that is about that same topic, right? And so then every day I do a Facebook Live that just expands on the topic of that tip. And then every Friday on my podcast, the solo episode I do on the Market Like a Nerd podcast is actually just a recap / expanded version of all the Facebook Lives I did for that week. And then once I have that, I can then transcribe it, and I can transcribe all of my Facebook Lives as well and turn them into text posts or blogs. And I can use those blogs as guest blogs on other people's platforms. I can pull little tweetables out and create images or put them up on Twitter. So I'm taking just this one theme for the week and turning it into tons and tons and tons of different types of content. So you don't have to create new stuff over and over and over again. You just have to get better at repurposing the content you already have. Okay, so 1, get good at one piece of content at a time. 2, repurpose your content like mad. 3, include a call to action in your content, because remember, this is about leveraging your content, working smarter with it. And a lot of people put content out there and they think it's just going to make them money, but unless you give people a call to action, you know, they're not going to know what action to take, so it's not going to make you money. You know, when I talk about my Balanced Entrepreneur Facebook group on my podcast interviews and I give them a link where they can join, marketlikeanerd.com/invite, that's a call to action. At the end of every single one of my web TV shows, there is a call to action, whether it's for something they can opt in for, or something that they can pay for, or just subscribing to my channel or my newsletter. There's always a call to action on every single one of my podcasts. If you listen to it all the way until the end, there is a call to action on every single podcast. So you always want to include a call to action, some type of call to action on your content. And I know a lot of people get worried about that because they think that it's going to be annoying or it's going to detract from the value because there's always a call to action. But number one, if your content is really great, they're not going to mind that there is a call to action. And in fact, they're going to appreciate it because they're going to want more from you. And number 2, you can switch up your calls to action so that they're not so invasive. You know, you can have one week it be an offer for a webinar. The next week it just be, hey, you know, subscribe to the channel, a soft call to action. Okay. So you can switch it up a bit, and that variation will also keep people's interest. Okay. So 1, choose one type of content at a time to perfect. 2, repurpose your content. 3, include a call to action in each piece of content. And then 4, another way that you can use content that is, in my humble opinion, very, very smart, is to use content to break up your promotions when you're in the middle of a launch. A lot of people think that you just, you know, put content out there on a regular schedule and that's it. And that's, you know, you just use it as your newsletter. And you can also be a little bit more strategic about this and use it as a way to break up promotions during a launch, but still send a call to action to the launch. So when I did my BAM Academy launch, that was my 6-figure launch a few months ago, I had like a 6-week window where I was promoting the program over and over and over again. And you can feel it when you're doing promotions like that, when you're doing paid promotions, you can feel it. There's this shift in energy in your group sometimes, or in your community sometimes, where people are just a little tired of hearing about the offer. So when you feel that, you know, you're tired of talking about it or your community is tired of hearing about it, stop promoting your offer for a moment and instead start promoting content. And then you can put a call to action in that content for the offer. So it still eventually leads to it, but it feels like a break in promotion. Okay. So that's another way to use content that's very leveraged that leads into your offers. And then finally, tip number 5 is I recommend that you install a retargeting pixel on each of the pieces of your content so that when someone consumes it, when they watch your vlog, listen to your podcast, read one of your guest blogs, go onto one of your webinars, get one of your free PDFs, whatever, you have a retargeting pixel up on that page so that you can now send them ads from Facebook or Google Ads, whatever you prefer, and send them more offers that are related to that piece of content. So if I have a piece of content that's about, getting out of debt, I would have a retargeting pixel up, and when I know someone has consumed that, I'll send them my Money Nerds program through a Facebook ad, which is about getting out of debt. So that way you can grow your audience and you can grow your list without actually having them on your list. Even if they don't opt in and give you their name and email address, you have their information still via the retargeting pixel on Facebook, and you can still send them targeted offers that they feel were meant for them. Okay, so those are my quick 5 tips about leveraging your content. Get good at one piece of content at a time. You don't have to be good at everything. You don't have to create tons and tons of different types of content. Just get good at one at a time. 2 was repurpose your content and just really maximize the content that you have rather than trying to create new stuff. 3, always include a call to action, whether it's to your paid offer, a free offer, or just a really soft subscribe call to action. 4, use your content to break up promotions in a launch and then lead them back into the paid offer. And 5, set up a retargeting pixel so that when someone consumes content, you can send them back to some type of offer that's related to the thing that they consume, because you know their interest now, so send them something that's related to that. Okay, so those are that's my nerd wisdom for today. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this broadcast, then I highly recommend you check out Market Like a Nerd podcast on iTunes. We just launched a couple weeks ago, and the content there is really awesome. We just actually interviewed sales funnel expert Scott Olford on Monday about how he recovered from $726,000 in debt and then went on to make millions by the age of 25. So you can listen to that interview at bit.ly, so bit.ly/market like a nerd, and that'll take you to the iTunes page where you can download all of our previous episodes, subscribe to our channel. We release 3 episodes a week, so I'd love to see you in there. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.